Hello, hello, hello. My name is Linda Peavy, and I am the founder of LaPav Consulting LLC. And I'm going to be the host for today while we talk about how to secure grants for Black-owned organizations and Black-led nonprofits. So come on into the webinar. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Again, my name is Linda Peavy, and I am the founder and owner of LaPav Consulting LLC. I'm going to be your host for today while we talk about how to get the bag, how to secure those grants for Black-owned organizations and Black-led nonprofits. So as you come into the webinar to join me, I want you to give your city and your state a shout out. Let me know who's with me today. I am in Northeast Ohio, not too far from Cleveland, where we are experiencing some pretty awesome weather for us. It's like in the 50s. And those of you who know anything right about Northeast Ohio, you know that there could be a foot of snow on the ground. So I'm not complaining. Hey, hey, hey. Brenda, welcome, welcome, welcome. We have Calandra from Marietta, Georgia. Hey, Calandra. I was in Marietta 2 weeks ago. I'll be in Marietta next week. Hey, Angel, good morning. So as you come into the room, give your city, your state a shout out. Let me know where you're coming in from. We're going to get started very shortly because I have a lot of information to give you and not a lot of time to give it to you. All right. So again, my name is Linda Peavy. I am the owner of LaPav Consulting LLC. I'm going to be your host, where we are going to talk about how to get the bag, right? How are we going to secure these grants for Black-owned organizations and Black-led nonprofits? So as you come in the room, hey, Roz from Virginia Beach and Lynn from Michigan and Marie from Los Angeles. Is probably a lot warmer there than it is here. Tamika is coming in from Jacksonville, North Carolina. And then we have Regina, I hope I pronounced that right, from Olive Branch. Tell me where you're coming in from, Olive Branch and S. Tell me what that is, all right? Ruth is coming in from Florida. So welcome, everybody. We have a lot to go through. Okay, so we're going to get started. Again, my name is Linda Peavy. I'm going to be your host. And the first thing we're going to do is show you my quick 30-second TV commercial because it will give you a little more information about who I am and what I've been doing and how I'm going to be able to help you today. So let's get started. And then we'll do some housekeeping afterwards, okay? All right.
Hi, I'm Linda Peavy, owner of LaPav Consulting. My passion is to place your organization on the path to excellence. Are you struggling to communicate your message, reach target audiences, or secure funding? From marketing communications to grant writing, we achieve your goals. We've worked with high-profile clients and have secured $17 million in funding for charter schools and nonprofits. Call today to discuss what your success looks like and how LaPav Consulting can help.
All right, so that's a little bit more about me. As you come into the webinar, we are going to get started, but I want to first talk a little bit about housekeeping, all right? So we have a lot to get through. I have a lot of information to share with you. Anybody who knows me know, like this is going to be a no fluff zone, right? It's all good information. And as we go through the presentation, I want you to ask questions into the Q&A because at the end, and don't go anywhere, don't leave, because at the end, we're going to do a really in-depth Q&A. Please ask the questions in either the Q&A or even the chat. I will get to all of them at the end, and then I have a bonus surprise for you. All right, so we're off to the races. I want to make sure everybody's in the right place. Grant writing for Black-owned businesses and Black-led nonprofits. This is my noon session. Yes, I have another session, another live session tonight at 7 o'clock as well. So a little bit more about me. Yes, they call me the grants queen because I've been able to secure $17 million in funding and business development. Yes, I've also written those grant applications that you complete. And I also work with organizations to build partnerships, right? And yes, I give grant writing proposals and development workshops all over the country. And I'm a proud alumnus of the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses program. And yes, I have also been the leader of a nonprofit. So you nonprofits, I know where you are. So let me know who's on the line with me. Are you a for-profit? Are you a nonprofit? Or I've noticed a lot of for-profits starting nonprofits lately. So maybe you're both. So let me know in the chat who's with me. For-profit, nonprofit, or both. All right. Now, my journey to getting to $17 million. Well, I used to be a publishing executive in Pennsylvania years ago, but I got hurt, literally had to come back home to Cleveland in a wheelchair because I couldn't even stand. And it took me 2 years to recuperate. And after the 2 years, I found myself without a job. Okay. Even though I had over 20 years of experience in marketing, but it was all in publishing, right? And as you can imagine, Cleveland is not exactly the publishing mecca of the country. So I had to start LaPav Consulting out of necessity, right? And so I'm celebrating 15 years of owning my own company, which has been a blessing. So who do we have? We got a church nonprofit. Excellent. I have a lot of information for churches, both excellent nonprofits, for-profits that want to start a nonprofit in the future. Perfect. Okay. Whether you're a nonprofit or a for-profit, it doesn't matter. This information is going to be for you. So I started LaPav Consulting 15 years ago. And one of my first jobs was to be a contract executive director of a nonprofit, right? And so literally, as soon as I started this job, like the first week, I was called into the board of directors office. And I was told that I had to write a grant to literally save my job. It was a grant to save the position of the executive director, which, hello, was me, right? And of course, they didn't say that to me in the job interview. But you know what? I did it. I learned how to write grants. And yes, I saved my position and thus saved the organization. And look, we can be real today, okay? How many of you have been called in, people who look like us, to save a project, to save a program, or sometimes to save an entire company, okay? Well, that's what I had to do. So if you can relate, give me a yes in the chat, okay? But you know what? I learned that there is a connection, right, between writing grants and getting free grant money. You're going to hear that word all afternoon, free, because I'm all about giving you free resources. Grant money is free. And so there's a connection, there's a process. So I'm here to teach you the process. We're going to cover why this class. Yes, Marie. Yes, Veronica. You know what I'm talking about. 3 keys to funding, grant basics, prepare to apply, what to write, how to write. We're going to talk about a little bit about bid proposals if we have a chance. How do you get noticed in a sea of applications? And then we're going to talk about how you find that perfect funder, okay? Because believe it or not, there are organizations out here waiting to give people that look like you and me money, okay? We have to find who they are. And then I'm going to give you a list of available funds right now that you can apply to. Okay. And then, like I said, don't go anywhere. I have a surprise for you in the end. And then we're going to do a Q&A. So why this class? Look, Black nonprofits and entrepreneurs, look, we need help with funding. And it shouldn't always be about loans. Okay. We need free money. We need grant money. But I can tell you that there is a lack of qualified professional grant writers, right? Trust and believe. I hear horror stories every day, literally every day, about people being scammed from people who are supposed to be grant writers. Okay, there is a difference between a professional grant writer and somebody who writes grants. Okay, if somebody is coming up to you saying, oh, give me $50, all right, 3 grants for you, you need to do like a military turn and a run in the other direction. Okay, because no, that is not a professional. People at my skill level, we charge anywhere between $100 to $200 per hour to write a grant. But guess what? You can learn to do this yourself. You can learn these skills, and I'm here to teach you that you can. Because at the end of the day, nobody is going to be able to tell your story better than you. And here is the secret. No, you don't have to be a professional grant writer. You just need to know the process. And I'm here to teach you the process. So as a reminder, I have a lot to share with you. Everything is being recorded. And yes, you will get a free replay at the end. So don't worry about it. If you're not able to move those little fingers fast enough, you're going to get a free replay. All right. So we're going to talk about what do you write? How do you write it? And then again, how do you attract the right funder for your organization. Now, two different occurrences completely changed the landscape of philanthropy, completely. One was COVID-19. Before COVID-19, it was unheard of for a for-profit to get grant money. When you thought of grants, what did you think? You thought about nonprofits, right? You thought that as a small business, I can't get any grant money. Everything changed because in COVID-19, so many small businesses, right, went under, right, went out of business. And as you know, small businesses, we are the backbone of this country. And so foundations took notice and major corporations took notice, and they said, we're going to do something about this. There's too many small businesses going under. So they created pools of grant funding earmarked, right, for small businesses. So that's why now, right now, more so than ever, in the 15 years I've been writing grants, I have never seen the amount of grant money available for you as a for-profit business as you see now. One, because of COVID-19 and the generosity of foundations and major corporations. Now, there are some COVID-19 recovery grants available. If you see those, just remember, you're writing about how COVID-19 affected you. Did you have to go out of business completely? Did you have to lay off employees? Right? Did you have to cut back? So whenever you see any specific COVID-19 funds, you have to talk about how it affected you. Now, the other incident that completely changed philanthropy was the George Floyd murder. When George Floyd was murdered, once again, foundations in this country and major corporations in this country said, we have to do something about racial injustice in the country. As I take a little sip, what can we do, right? And think about it. Foundations and major corporations, what do they have plenty of, right? They have plenty of cash. So they wanted to create grant funding that would help minority-owned organizations, including minority-owned for-profit organizations who was maybe addressing racial injustice or what we call diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, or even socially conscious causes, whether it's poverty or the homeless, as a way to try to help people of color in this country to flourish because they were so affected by the George Floyd murder. So that's why, once again, if you're a Black-owned organization, especially if you're a Black woman-owned organization, Black-led nonprofit, again, there's more money available to you than there has ever been certainly since I've been writing grants. Okay. Now we're going to talk about grant basics. What do you need to know? Grants are not paid back. Now, for just a minute, I'm only talking to you nonprofits. You must get your 501c3. It is critical. Why? Because foundations will only give to 501c3 organizations for the most part, okay? The overwhelming majority of organizations that they give funding to have their 501c3. What is it? That's your tax-exempt charitable organization designation by the IRS. And don't be fooled. There are so many scammers out here. If people are telling you that, I can get you your 501c3 and it's not through the IRS, again, what are you going to do? Military turn and run in the other direction, okay? So the good news for you is that whereas it used to take 3 to 6 months to get your 501c3, now it's only taking 6 to 8 weeks to get your 501c3. So nonprofits, get your 501c3. Avoid fiscal agents. What is a fiscal agent? A fiscal agent is an organization that already has their 501c3, that if you apply for a grant and just so happen you get it, they're going to get the money. And then they give the money to you. And that's why foundations don't like to deal with fiscal agents, because if they're giving you money for your program, they want it to go directly to you. Okay. So if at all possible, get your own 501c3. Look, it's taking 6 to 8 weeks. You can do this. Now, look at this screen here. Foundation giving in 2021 increased to over $90 billion. $90 billion. Okay, and when the 2022 numbers are released, it will be even higher. But let's look at this number for a second. This is just from foundation giving, not even the corporations, right? $90 billion. Do we need all this money? No, we don't need all this money. People, we just need a little bit of this money. Can you imagine what you would do with a little bit of $90 billion? I want you to put into the chat, I just need a little bit. Into the chat, I just need a little bit. Look, we're not trying to be greedy, okay? We just need a little bit of $90 billion. Can you imagine if you could finally open your nonprofit, open your small business, or maybe even expand, or maybe stop bootstrapping and asking family and friends for money and digging in your purse or your pocket and free grant money? Why would we not want to use somebody else's money, okay, to flourish? So I want to, Veronica, just need a little bit, okay? That's what I'm talking about. Derek, we just need a little bit. Tiffany, just a little bit, okay? We don't need the whole $90 billion. We're not trying to be greedy. Rosalind, just a little bit, okay? And I'm here to show you how you can get just a little bit. Now, next, you have to prepare to write grants. This is a mistake too many people make. They look at that grant application, they complete it, and they fill it out, and they wonder why they get a rejection letter. You have to prepare to write grants. And one thing I want to show you, please hone up on your writing skills, right? I don't want you submitting an application that's full of grammatical errors. There's 5 basic writing skills. We're only going to do it number 5, editing and rewriting, right? I love Grammarly, okay? I'm going to be giving you tea all afternoon. This is the first cup of tea. Improve writing skills dramatically by doing these 15 things. This is an article by Grammarly. Grammarly is an editing software tool. And guess what? It is free. There's that word again, free. If you are using Grammarly, put into the chat that you're using Grammarly. It is fantastic, right? There is a professional version that's about $150 a year that I use, but you don't need that. Free Grammarly is fine. After we're done, download this article, okay? It will make you a better writer. All right. What else are we doing? We are preparing our documentation, okay, to write grants. What are those documents? Veronica, yes, loves Grammarly. Pastor Cotton loves Grammarly. Absolutely. So now we're preparing, right? What do you need? Your EIN, your employer identification number. Next, if you're a nonprofit, your 501c3, right? Don't use that fiscal agent. Now, if you are for-profit, this is based on the state that you live in. If you live in certain states, you must have a business license as a for-profit. All right. So this is your homework. Afterwards, I want you to look at your Secretary of State's website to find out if you need a business license to do business in your state and to get grant funding if you are for-profit. I was providing this webinar literally a couple of months ago, and a young lady was saying, oh my gosh, Linda, you're so right. I was applying for a grant and the competition was stiff. She said I was the only one that got the grant because I was able to show that I had my state certification and my business license to do business in my state. Now, in the state of Ohio, where I am, yes, it is required that you have a business license if you are for-profit, but that's not true in certain states. So make sure you find that out. What else do you need? You need your list of your board members and your staff. You need letters of support. Why? Because organizations that are giving you funding want to know that there's somebody else out here that supports you. Who are the letters coming from? It could be your pastor, your church, your community leaders, your vendors, right? Politicians that support you, right? They could write letters saying that, yes, they believe in your mission. They believe in what you do and the fact that you deserve this grant funding. Next, audit financial statement. Now, not every grant application will require a financial statement, okay? That's audited. But if they do, this is a document that your CPA will need to complete. Next, your operating budget. That may be, kind of a no-brainer, but for you startups, yes, you need a current operating budget. Why? Because you need to know how much money this is going to cost you to open your operation, whether it's a nonprofit or for-profit. You have to have some idea of how much money this is going to cost. And when you create that budget and you're creating those line items, right? When you determine, okay, I have money to maybe pay the lease, I have money to pay employees, but I didn't think about marketing. I have no marketing in here. Okay, that's where I need to apply for grant funding for marketing. It will help you see the gaps in your budget so that you know where you are going to be applying for grant funding, okay? So even you startups with the idea, okay, you need to create an operating budget. Next, you need a list of your other funding sources, right? Because no foundation wants to be the only one supporting you. Because as I will mention several times this afternoon, grants are not guaranteed. Even if you get them in year 1, they're not guaranteed in year 2. And foundations do not want to be placed in a position that in year 2, if they can't give you funding, there goes your operations. So if you have any other funding sources, put them in the grant application. They could be other grants, right? Other donations. They could even be in-kind donations, right? They could be the donation of services. So make sure you get that documentation together. Now, we're talking about what do you write? These are the basic components of a grant application. We're going to go through the list and then go through these one by one. Summary, mission, history, leadership, describing your organization, your statement of need, a description of your program or your project, right? Community partnerships, your outputs, your outcomes, and your impact. Those are your results. Your program, project, staff, leadership. Now, this leadership is talking about your board, okay? Your budget and sustainability. All right, we're off to the races. We're going to start with summary. Be sure you put those questions in the Q&A, okay? What do you need to know about the summary? Do not be fooled. It is the first part of the application, but you always write it last. You see it first, you write it last. Why? Because it's going to include the most compelling components of your grant application. Why? Because it is the first thing that grantors are going to read. So you've got to sell yourself in that summary, and that's why you're pulling like the most compelling pieces of that grant application. Next, mission and vision. Now, all of you should have a mission statement, but do you have a vision statement? What is it? That's what you would like to have happen in the future if you are implementing and attaining your mission statement, right? So for those of you who don't have one, this is more homework. Write that vision statement. Now, why is a mission statement important? Because you have to align it to the funder. This is how you find your perfect funder. So if you're in K through 12 education, you want to make sure that the funder, the foundation that you're seeking, that they also provide funding for organizations that have K through 12 education programs, right? Or services or products. Make sure you are aligning your mission to the mission of that foundation and funder. And that, of course, includes researching the foundation. Now, history. I get this question all the time. Linda, I'm new. I don't have a history. Not true. Every organization has a history because your history also includes your impetus for starting the organization. And I like to use the example of the retired principal. She was a principal of a 9 through 12 high school, right? She started a tutoring company because when she was a principal, she saw that those students in grades 9 through 12, they were consistently failing math and reading, right? They weren't meeting grade level proficiencies at all. And so when she retired, she decided to start that tutoring company. Well, you know what? Part of her history was her impetus for starting, because those years of serving as a principal, she saw the need. So she's going to write about that experience into the grant application so that people know why and where she got to where she is now into starting this tutoring company. So don't think you don't have a history. Always write about what was the impetus for you starting the organization. Next, leadership. That could be your CEO, your COO, but remember, it also includes your board of directors because they are considered part of the leadership of that organization. Next, you're describing your organization. What are you doing? You're talking about the track record of working with whatever the target population is that you're serving. And I'll talk about that in a few minutes. If you have success rates, success factors, what have they been? How have you impacted the people that you serve? You're going to get into the weeds and start giving statistics, right, about why you've been successful, who you're helping, how you're helping them, and whatever experience you have with whatever or whomever your target population is, right? That principal, she had experience with the subject matter, right, which was grades 9 through 12 kids. So think about how you're going to describe that organization so that it shines. All right. Next, your statement of need. What is the problem? Listen to me, people. There is always a problem. I don't care what you are producing. It doesn't matter what service you have, whether you have a product-based company or a service-based company. You are always addressing an issue, and you must put that in the grant application. And it doesn't matter what it is. I like to use the bakery. Bakery, what does she do? She makes cakes and cupcakes, okay, and cookies and pastries. And you might be thinking, well, what problem is she solving? She has a bakery. Or maybe she has a vegan bakery. Maybe she's solving the problem of vegans who don't have anywhere to get great pastries, right? Or she wants to locate in a downtown community, right? In this downtown location, there's been so many other failed businesses, right? In a location where she's wanting to open, right? So maybe she's solving the issue of economic development in that community because she's coming in with a new business, right? Or she's wanting to serve the businesses in the area. She's helping them to literally be able to provide and impress their clients with these fantastic pastries, right? So she's resolving the issue of companies not having a really top tier catering service for baked goods and for pastries, right? It doesn't matter what you do. You are addressing an issue, because the issue that you are addressing, that's how you meet your perfect funder, because they are also interested in serving the same population and addressing the same issue. So if you are addressing the homeless, right, because there's homeless in just about every community, you want to make sure that you are matching with a foundation that has the same area of interest in addressing what's either called basic services, which includes a shelter, or specifically the homeless, right? So how do you find out who they are and where they are? Because 90% of foundations do not have a website. I'm going to say that again. Thank you, Veronica. I'm going to say that again. 90% of foundations do not have a website. How do you get this information? Well, more T, the 990 form. Okay, the 990 form is the tax document that foundations have to submit to the IRS, right? It is a gold mine of information. You get that 990, it will tell you about the leadership of the foundation or the organization, right? But if you scroll to the end of the 990, there is a section where there is a list of everywhere they provide donations to, right? Organizations. And what you're looking for are similar organizations to yours. So if you have an equestrian program where you literally use horses to help heal veterans, you're going to look at the end of that list to see if there are any other organizations that they have given funding to that maybe utilize animals to help in the healing of people, right? So you look at that 990 and you decide, okay, I see that they're giving to similar organizations, that may be a match. Where do you get the 990? This word again, free, free, free. Now you could pay some services that give you access to 990s, right? Or you could go to this free website, projects.propublica.org/nonprofits, right? You can get the 990 of any organization that has filed a 990 free of charge. So don't sleep on 990s. All right. Next, you're going to talk about your target population. And this is what you need to know. There is no such thing as you helping everybody. You cannot help everybody. Okay. You have to look at who that target is and think about who would be best served by your service or your product or your program. Best served, not marginally served, best served. Okay. And that's how you find your target audience, because you have to have one. It will help you find your perfect funder, because they want to give funding to organizations that also serve whatever that target population is. And maybe it's gender. Maybe you have an organization that's geared towards women. Maybe it's ethnicity. Maybe your product serves African Americans. Maybe it's income based. Maybe you serve those that live below the federal poverty line. Maybe it's age based. Maybe you have a daycare center. You're just serving those children that are 5 and under, right? So get your demographics together. Maybe it's based on geography and you just serve the local community, right? Whatever you do, go to the census to really get good demographic information. Census.gov, don't sleep on census.gov. They have free information. Think about that daycare center. She can get the number of children under the age of 5 that live in a particular community. So census.gov/quick facts, free. Derek says he loves the website. Oh, excellent. It's been a great help. Excellent. Now, what are we doing? You are telling a story is what you're doing. This is all about storytelling, right? You are literally selling your message, right, to the foundation or to the funder. And it's all about who is telling the story the best, right? But whatever you do not put yourself as the hero of that story. It is always going to be your target population. They're the hero of the story. Why? Because that's where the transformation takes place. Let's take those students, right, that are getting tutoring. Well, maybe they finally reach They're reading and math, great level proficiencies, and now they can graduate from high school and maybe go to college or go to the military, right? Or take a trade. The transformation occurs within them, okay? Well, maybe you are helping the homeless, right? And if you are helping the homeless, then when that homeless provides the opportunity to get shelter, is providing the opportunity to get shelter, maybe that person can find a job or go back to school. So the transformation takes place within your target population. So keep that in mind as you are writing, okay? Again, when you told your story on any of those past grant applications, were you telling your story the best? Were you talking about how you've changed lives, how you have been able to have outcomes that really made a difference, right? Were you able to appeal to people's emotions? Look, I've been in so many meetings with foundation directors, and we're going on and on talking about the organization and the target population. But I tell you, when we show a video, it's a game changer. Video is the best way to show what you are doing and who you are affecting and these outcomes. And it doesn't have to be expensive. Literally, you can have your client take a phone. Everybody knows I'm an Android girl, but if you have that little iPhone, you can have them literally put that phone in front of their face and talk for a minute about how you just tasted the best cupcake you've ever had in your life, right? Any type of testimonials. It doesn't have to be expensive. If you want to produce a professional video, fine. It shouldn't be more than 2 or 3 minutes. It should be on the home page of your website. So for all of you, first of all, you should have a website. Do not let anybody tell you that your Facebook page is good enough. I happen to know, because I've been doing this for a long time, that one of the first places that foundations go to is your website. So yes, you need a website. Now, if you need a website, I can certainly recommend the young lady who designs my website. She has been a web developer and a web designer for literally over 25 years, and she's economical. I hear some crazy rates out here about websites. You need a website. So if you're interested, if you want me to refer you to her, just put your email in the chat and I will do that. You need a website, right? And on that website, you need to have a video, okay? Now, you have a decision to make. Are you asking for operating or program project dollars? Operating dollars mean that you can put the money anywhere you want. You can pay salaries. You can pay for your lease. You can pay for 1099 workers. You can pay for IT. It's up to you. Or you're going to get money for a particular program or project. Let's take that bakery. She wants to start a delivery service. So that's her special project, right? So it's up to you. You have to talk about where your greatest needs are. Now, this is important because this is where too many organizations fail. You should be applying to multiple foundations, people, multiple foundations, even for the same project. Let's say you want $20,000 to hire 1099 contractors. You are going to apply to Foundation A for $20,000 and Foundation B for $20,000 for the same project. Let's say you get both of the grants. You get $40,000. What are you going to do? What you're not going to do is give the money back. We don't give grant money back, okay? But what you can do is with the $40,000, you can maybe increase the hours of the 1099 worker or maybe hire 2 1099 workers. But you should always be applying to multiple foundations for the same project. And also, you can apply to Foundation A for operating dollars and Foundation B for program project dollars. But whatever you do, always apply to multiple foundations. This is not a one and done, multiple foundations. Next, you're describing your project or your service, right? You talk about like, why has it been successful if you're a seasoned organization? Or if it's something new to you, why will it be successful? So that tutoring organization, they're going to use project-based learning to teach those grade 9 through 12 students. Now, she has to do her research to show that project-based learning is suitable to teach urban students in grades 9 through 12. So if it's something that you haven't used before, you need to show that, yes, it is going to be successful in whatever your organization is, right? And of course, you're going to talk about the detailed activities of whatever your service or your program or your project is, or if it's your entire company, you talk about what activities that you provide, but always talk about how you are addressing and solving an issue or a problem. And of course, always put down a realistic timeline. Now, community partnerships, these are critical. I have seen this section on just about every grant application I've seen in the last 5 or 6 years. So you're going to have to address this. Too many for-profits think, oh, I don't want to do a partnership. I'm going to have to just give them some of my money. No, it does not have to include any type of financial stipulations, right? There are many kinds of community partners. Your third-party vendor could be a community partner, right? You're looking for organizations in the community that can help you succeed in your business in many different ways, right? So I always talk about this music program in an urban school. They wanted to teach their third graders the violin. And so we were going to work with the Cleveland Orchestra, clearly one of the greatest orchestras in the world, right? So if you can imagine having employees of the Cleveland Orchestra coming into this little urban school, teaching these Black students, these third grade students, the violin, right? And how great that would look on the grant application, this small organization utilizing the resources of the Cleveland Orchestra. You can do the same. Work with organizations in your community. The Urban League is so underutilized, right? Especially, it doesn't matter if you're a nonprofit, but especially for you for-profits, they literally have divisions that are devoted to helping Black-owned businesses, right? Maybe it's an HBCU. Maybe it's an organization like the YMCA or the 100 Black Men of America, right? There should be a minority business assistance center in your community. You have to just do some research and find out what that is. Oftentimes, it's a part of the Urban League. Now, I'll give you an example as to why there doesn't have to be a financial exchange here. The bakery, right? She has a partnership with an event planner in the community, and she's going to have flyers and talk about the event planning service at the bakery, right? The event planning service, she's going to be able to provide flyers and recommendations and actually utilize the bakery service at her event planning operation. So think about ways in which you can work with community partnerships so that you can include this information on the grant application. Funders and foundations, they're going to be looking for this information. So really think about ways that you can collaborate with other organizations to make both organizations shine, right? Now we're talking about results. So you want grant money, you have to show in that application, I'm going to do something with it. I'm going to have results. This is about forecasting, and I don't want you to get scared of the word forecasting. All we're doing is talking about writing down what you expect to be future results. Outputs, outcomes, impact. Now, some applications will ask for only one. Some will ask for all three. So we're going to talk about all three. What are outputs? Those are the immediate results. You give me the money. This is what I'm going to provide to you, right? Outcomes. In about 6 months to a year, these are the activities that are going to happen as a result of the outputs, right? It's timeline based. What is the impact? Impact, that usually happens maybe a year to 2 years down the road as a result of the outcomes that took place, which happened as a result of the outputs. I'll give you an example. A daycare center wanted $20,000 to open. She researched, she found a great location. She said, look, if you give me $20,000, I can open. I'm going to serve 100 families and 250 children. Someone cannot hear me. If you can hear me, give me a yes. I want to make sure everybody can hear me okay. So if you can hear me in the chat, give me a yes. I want to make sure everybody can hear me because it may be an audio issue, Tainata, with your computer. So if you can hear me, give me a yes. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So I want to give you an example. A daycare center wanted $20,000, right, to open. And she's saying that if you give me the $20,000, we're going to open this great location. We're going to serve 100 families and 250 children, right? That's what's going to happen immediately. In 6 months, because we found this great location, we're going to grow our daycare capacity by 40%, and we're going to add 24/7 services, right? In 6 months, that's what's going to happen. Now, as a result of us growing by 40% and adding 24/7 services, In a year to 2 years from now, this will be our impact. 25% of our families will experience less stress. Why? Because heck, they can drop their kids off 24/7. Like, wouldn't you experience less stress if you could drop your kids off at any time? 25% of families will experience less stress. She is also indicating that 65% of children will demonstrate improved behavior because they have such a great educational program at this daycare center. And in a year to 2 years, her daycare will expand to 2 locations. So all you're doing is writing in that application what you foresee happening now and in the future if you are given the grant funding. Now, next, you're going to be asked for goals, right? But you're going to be asked for SMART goals, right? And many of you have heard of SMART goals. They're specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. Now, how do you change a goal into a SMART goal? Let's say you have a goal, you have a program, and you want to reduce the poverty rate in Cleveland because you have this great program. Well, that's too broad, that's too wide of a goal, right? You have to have a SMART goal, right? This is how I turn this goal into a SMART goal. I want to reduce the poverty rate by 5% in Cleveland for Hispanic children under the age of 5 within a 5-year time frame. What did I do? How did I change that goal into a SMART goal? I added data and statistics. Data and statistics, right? That's how I made that transition there. And that's what you're going to do. You're going to make sure that you are submitting SMART goals, right? Also, how are you going to be measuring your success? What are your assessment tools? Like, I love surveys. I like SurveyMonkey. I like JotForm. So maybe that restaurant is using surveys of our customers to find out whether or not they really like the delivery service. Or that particular principal, she can use the assessment and test results of those high school students before and after the tutoring program to find out whether or not it had an effect. You have to talk about how you are able to have these tools that will prove that your program is working. Okay. Now, next, we're talking about how are you writing to make a difference, right? Those of you, especially the for-profits out there, you're going to need an updated bio and resume. You probably haven't updated your bio and resume in years. You're going to need to do this because foundations want to know that you are providing qualified leadership to lead, whether it's your service or your program or your project. And maybe it's you. That's fine. Just know that you will need an updated bio or resume, right? And sometimes it's both. So why? Because this is all about accountability. They want to make sure that you have the right people in the right place, all right, that are qualified. Now, the budget. What do you need to know? You need to itemize your expenses, right? So if you're asking for $50,000 for an executive director, you can't just put $50,000 executive director. How long is that person going to be retained for? Is it $50,000 for 6 months? Is it $50,000 for a year? And if they're a W-2 employee, right, you're going to have to enlist information about benefits, right? Other services that a W-2 employee would receive, or if it's a 1099 contractor, you won't have that list. So you have to be really specific, right? So the budget, you're listing the dollar amount. The budget narrative, you're talking about specifics of what that number means. Is it for 6 months? Is it for a year, right? If you have contract employees, you have a dollar amount, $30 an hour. Well, for how many hours a week? For how many weeks? For how many months? You have to be specific. The budget narrative is where you are going to be specific, right? But whatever you do, always connect the money back to what? The goal of the program. You can say, yes, I need money for an executive director because this person is going to lead this program, all right, and help fulfill the goals of the organization. Now, sustainability, I love to talk about because it really gets you thinking. You know that grants are not guaranteed. You are going to have to write in that grant application that if you don't get the money in year 2, that you can still sustain your program. Because remember, I talked about before, organizations don't want to be put into position to know that if they don't give you grant money in year 2, there goes the program, right? They want to know that you can still sustain that program in year 2. I want you to think about the high school, right? They got the $20,000 grant for year 1 for the tutoring, they have to write into the application how in year 2, they can come up with $20,000 to sustain that program if they don't get a grant. So I want you to put into the chat, think about this. How could a high school talk about ways to raise $20,000 to pay for a tutoring program in year 2? So put into the chat. Think about this. This is a high school, right? While I take a sip. This is a high school. Yes, right? Fundraising, right? Fundraisers. Maybe it's a talent show. Maybe it's some type of a musical. What about a car wash, right? Donations, right? They could ask for donations from maybe parents or alumni, right? Think about this, right? School fundraisers, absolutely. Car washes, yes. Partnering with the city public school system, yes, to get additional funding, absolutely. Business partnerships, yes, Marie, business partnerships, Derek, car washes. You have to think about how you are going to address this question in your grant application of sustaining the organization that you're getting grant money for in year 2. Now, really quickly, for those of you who are going to be bidding on contracts, just one word of advice, and these could be city, state, county, federal contracts. Too many of you want to automatically think about the money too much and underbid. You do not want to underbid. It's going to be a red flag. So if I am a contractor and I put out a bid proposal saying, I need for someone to build me a fence, I have an idea how much it's going to cost to build a fence. So if I know it should cost about $1 million and you submit a bid for $50,000, I know you are not ready. Okay, you do not have the capacity. You're maybe using incredibly cheap products. You don't have the skill. It's a red flag. What I want you to do is to focus on the experience that you have with that particular subject, right? So maybe you've built 1,000 fences in your company, right? And you have the experience. Maybe your staff, right? Maybe they are experts at building fences, right? Maybe you have never missed a deadline, right? You're going to talk about other avenues that showcase your experience rather than just focusing on the numbers, right? This is really all about getting you noticed beyond just the application, some of the other things that you can do before you even write a single syllable. And I always tell everybody, this is so much about having the right mindset. You have to go into grant writing knowing that you can win. You just saw that there's $90 billion. So it's not as if there's no money. We know the money is there, right? But you cannot go into this thinking, oh my gosh, it's a grant. I can't do it. They want a 200-page dissertation. No. That's not grant writing any longer, right? There are no 200-page dissertations, right, that are required of a grant. The for-profit grants that I've seen, you know what? They're 3 to 4 pages. There was a grant, the Barclay Bank. They wanted a 500-page essay for a $25,000 grant, okay? I saw 2 multi-million-dollar government federal grants. They wanted 15 double-spaced pages. That's 7 single-spaced pages for $1 million. So please don't be scared. Do not think that you are going to be writing page after page after page. The world has changed. And with artificial intelligence, I'm going to be doing some training in the future on ChatGPT and how literally can help you like write these grants in hours. But everything has changed. Please go into this knowing that you can win this money, because people that look just like you and me are getting this money every single day. Now, next, if you take nothing else from this webinar, hear me out. You, if at all possible, must meet with the funder first. It can be the difference between whether or not you get the money. I've been in a foundation meeting where I've heard foundation leaders say, look, if I get an application and you haven't called me, haven't emailed me, haven't tried to reach me, there's a good chance it may go into the garbage. No, not all foundations do that, right? Some foundations don't want to meet with you. They want you to complete that application and fill it out. But if you have the opportunity, you meet with that funder first, because in that meeting, and I've been in too many of these meetings before, I know what I'm saying. They will tell you, if they like you, what to put on the grant application, right? And you're going to get information about that grant that they never put on the website. They're going to find out information about you and learn information about you and your program that you can't put on a website, right? That relationship building piece is absolutely critical, right? Literally, a client of mine set up a meeting last month, a couple of weeks ago. The foundation had never even heard of them before, but you know what? Those missions aligned because they were both into serving veterans, right? After 30 minutes, he walked away with a $30,000 grant. Had never even met this organization before. Literally, about a month ago, same thing happened. Another client set up a meeting, didn't know the client, had never heard of the client before, but after that 30-minute meeting, and we're talking about Zoom meetings, we're not even talking about face-to-face. This can happen via Zoom. After that meeting, the client walked away with a $5,000 grant and then a commitment to be given $30,000 over the next 3 years. So please, 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 if at all possible, meet with the funder first. All right, next, time management. People. If the deadline is 4:59, and it often is, by the way, and you try to submit this application at 5 o'clock, you're going to have a bad day. You're going to have a bad day. All right. Time management, deadline driven. When they give you a time, you have to adhere to it because that portal literally shuts down at that time. All right. You never want to wait to the last minute to submit grant applications, right? Also, address every question. So if there is a question on the application that you cannot answer, don't leave it blank, because if you leave it blank and you submit the application on a portal, it might think that it's an incomplete application and reject it. If a question does not pertain to you, put down NA. All right. Next, make sure that somebody else is looking at that grant application. You don't want to submit grammatical errors. Now, I love templates. They are fantastic. However, what you don't want to do is use cookie cutter answers for an entire application based on a previous application. And someone tried to do this. You don't want to copy and paste from one application and put the same information on 20 different new grant applications. It doesn't work that way. Every grant application is asking for something a little different, right? Use the template for information like your mission or maybe your history, but don't use cookie cutter answers. Also, if you are meeting with the funder, please don't ask for too much money if you're meeting with them for the first time, because they will reject your application. You don't want to go and ask them for $100,000. They don't know you, right? They don't know if you are a good steward of finances, especially $100,000. For the first time, I always recommend asking between $5,000 and $25,000, okay? And don't forget to edit. These are some don'ts. Now, I told you how important it is to meet with the funder. How do you do that? You create a letter of introduction, right? The letter will introduce you to the foundation. You are trying to get a meeting. You want to describe the organization, right? You want to talk about that need, your target population. You want to talk about how your programs are aligned via that mission. You do not ask for money because you're not trying to get money yet. You're trying to get a meeting, right? You can do some research and find the name of the person at 990, but how do you get the email address? Because you're not going to send it to info@abcfoundation.org because it's going to go in the hemisphere and never come back, right? You need a real email address. Now, I've been giving you tea all afternoon. People, this is the tea pot, okay? Getemail.io will give you the email address of just about anybody in any organization around the world. I use it all the time. I get emails from people in Italy, Germany, France, you name it. All right. You find the email so that you send that letter to the appropriate person. And guess what? Getemail.io is free for like maybe the first 10 to 15 emails. And then I think it's about $60 a month. It's worth it. But look, use your 10 to 15 emails. Okay. Now, we're getting to how do you find these grants? I told you there's millions of dollars of grant money available. How do you find them? You use websites that will help you research for grants. The largest is the Foundation Directory Online. That's the leading source. Now, they give you the name of funders only, not grants, the name of funders, right? They're about $50 a month. Instrumental.com is more pricey. They're about $200 a month. They give you the funder, the open grant that is currently accepting applications, and the $9.90 and a lot of other information, but they're pretty pricey for $200 a month. You don't have to pay that. Grants.gov, that of course is the leading source of federal grants for those churches. The Lilly Foundation is the largest funder of religious organizations. If you have an educational program, you want to go to grantgopher.com. Now, Lilly Foundation is free. Grants.gov is free. Grantgopher.com is free. Grant Watch, I happen to like. They're about $20 a week. They give you a lot of last minute grants, and they give you the actual grant opening. Grant Gopher will give you the actual grant opening, right? The application, the proposal. Grantstation.com I love because they have so many grants for for-profit organizations. They will give you the actual grant opening and more information. Now, they're about $200 a year, but I know they were providing a special for nonprofits where they were giving it to nonprofits for free. So just make sure you check them out. Now, excuse me, we're Black-owned organizations. You need to know about Urban Awareness USA.org. They are Black-owned, and they give tons of information about minority grants. Now, they are free to just sign up to their newsletter, but they also have some paid services that you might want as well. Now, I'm going to go to the next slide because it's a little bit easier. It's the same information. This is the homepage of Grant Station. Again, they're about $200 a year. What you're doing, this is how you find your funders and your grants. You put in, am I a business, nonprofit, or individual? You want to look for local and national. And I always advise you, please stop overlooking your local foundations. You want to try to get local money first. It's okay to apply for local and national at the same time, but please, it's easier to get local funding. So you can put in the U.S., you can put in your city, you can put in your county, you can put in your state as to where you want that foundation to be located, right? And you also can look at the geographical scope. Like, do you want grants that are available nationwide or just in your region? You want to put in the type of the grant. Are you looking for a federal grant or foundation grants, your target population, your areas of interest? It could be more than one, okay? And then you put all this information into the portal and you click a button, and literally Grant Station will give you a list of numerous grants for you to apply to, okay? Thank you, Derek. Thank you, Pastor Cotton. So I told you I was going to have a list of open grants for you. The U.S. Black Chambers of Commerce and American Express, they have collaborated, and they are providing a grant. It's called We Back Black Businesses, right? The DOT, Department of Transportation, they have a disadvantaged business enterprise program. Facebook Black Creators, I've received that grant before. If you work on Facebook a lot, create a lot. National Association for the Self-Employed Growth Grants, right? Minority Business Development Agency grants. FedEx has a small business grant. Excuse me. The Northwestern Mutual Black Foundation Accelerated, they have grants. Now, some of you may think, you know what, I don't have a large organization. I don't have like W-2 employees. I don't even have any 1099 employees. I'm a solopreneur. Doesn't matter. You can still get grant money. There are organizations like Amarillo, right, where they only give to small organizations or all volunteer nonprofits. Don't think you have to have paid employees, right? You don't. You can have literally an all volunteer staff and still get grant money, right? The Mustard Seed Foundation, all they do is give money to faith-based organizations and churches. So, Pastor Cotton, that's for you. The Mustard Seed Foundation, that's all they do. Are you a fashion designer? Harlem Capital. Lilly Foundation, 2 years ago, put aside $23 million to give money to Black churches and HBCUs. Now, GiveButter.com is a group of Black philanthropists, and all they do is give money, grant money to Black organizations. Barclays Bank, they have a small business program. Now, for you starters, you may think, oh, there's no money for me. I'm just starting up. Yes, there's money for you. Ensile, that program is just for startups, right? Sky's the limit. That program is just for startups. So don't think there's no money for you. Now, I know I have a lot of Black women organizations on here with me, so this is for you. HelloAlice.com is the largest portal providing grant funding for small businesses, so sign up. Next, I call it the credit card money, right? So MasterCard and Visa have programs that are geared just for Black women business owners. Then you have the Creative Capital and Skoll Foundation Award, the Goldman Sachs 1 Million Black Women Fund. I know for a fact that they're open right now. They only open at a certain time of the year. Right now they're open. I think you have to get the application in by the end of March, but check them out because that is just for Black women. Cartier has a program where they often give their funds to Black women. Amber Grants for women, they give away $10,000 every single month. If you have maybe a health and wellness program, Women's Sports Foundation, right? So almost at the end, don't go anywhere. I want you to put into the chat, when you think about money and banks, what do you think about in the chat? Money and banks in the chat. Money and banks in the chat. Yes, loans, right? Credit, right? Interest rates, high interest rates, more loans, right? Well, did you know that banks, yep, credit score, documents, interest loans, yep, more loans, yes, hard to get money. Did you know that banks are some of the largest providers of grants, not loans, grants in the United States? Stop sleeping on banks. You probably didn't know who to talk to. You went to your branch manager, they tried to sell you a loan. You went to your loan officer, they tried to sell you a bigger loan. Banks are providers of grant funding. Now, you have to make sure it's a bank that has a really good footprint or existence in your community. Young lady was on my webinar last year, and sure enough, she researched her banks and she ended up applying for a $2.3 million grant. Okay, so don't sleep on banks. They are providers of grant money, grant funding. Make sure that you speak with a vice president, right? A vice president, typically of like community investment. That's who you want to go to, right? Community investment, economic development, community programming. Make sure it's a vice president of the bank. That's who credit unions are. Credit unions less so, but there are some credit unions. Credit unions, I find, Veronica, they like to sponsor events more so than give grants. So most credit unions I've worked with, they will give money to you if you have an event. Okay, they're more into sponsorships. Grants, banks. All right, so don't go anywhere. As I said to you, I've been doing this for 15 years, and I have never seen the money that is available right now for Black-owned organizations, like never. I knew that I could only have so many people writing one grant at a time. So what did I do? Took literally the past 15 years, and I created a grant writing course that is so easy. Okay, step by step. You can do this, right? You can do this. And that's why I created this program, because I wanted a step-by-step path to funding for you. I want you to be impactful. I want you to fulfill your mission without doing what? Bootstrapping, using your own money, asking for loans, digging in your pocket or your purse. Think about what you could do with $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 of somebody else's money. What I don't want you to do is do this alone, because again, I cannot tell you how many emails I get, Facebook messages I get of people being scammed. Please come into a community where it is a safe space where you can ask questions. This particular course will save you at least 50% of the time it takes to research, find, and write grants, right? So many of you ask, is there a grant for fill in the blank? Yes, there is more than likely a grant for you. You have to know how to find it, right? And so what I do is I give you the best grant research techniques. I give you how to find funders who literally want to give you money. I teach you how to approach these funders. And of course, I'm going to teach you how to write every part of the narrative, right? And every part of that narrative is based on real grants that I've written, right? There are grant applications that I wrote that received money. Every example I've received money, right? I told you before, nobody can tell your story like you. Please don't go it alone. Ask questions. Be in a community of support. What do you get? You get 12 modules, about 35 lessons. I know people learn differently, right? I start everything with a video, right? So you look at the video and then you have a written lesson. And guess what? It's not hard. Why? Because you're talking about what you're passionate about, right? You're writing about what pertains to your organization. If I asked you to write about your history, you're writing about the history of your organization. And I have these like really fun, silly quizzes. And then I have a complete workbook. Everything's downloadable, including the videos. Everything's downloadable. And yes, I give you winning grant examples. And then I do something that nobody else is doing. Nobody else is doing this. I actually give you a list of 450 funding organizations. So it's like you're ready. You have what you need. And it includes everything from veterans to entrepreneurs to education. 450 funders. Some people get this course just to get this list. But also, I know there are many instructors that create these programs. You buy them and you never see them again, right? No. I have a private Facebook group. You become a part of the group. If anybody is in that Facebook group, give yourself a shout out, because I'm telling you, oh my gosh, it has been lit this week. It has been fire this week, right? I think I've put at least like 5 or 6 grants in there. I'm always putting new information in there, but the students are so fabulous. Like if you are writing a grant and you need for somebody to review it, you come into the Facebook group and ask someone. And some of them typically will say, yes, I'll look at that for you. I have professional grant writers who took the course who are in the Facebook group, right? Because I want to give you support. I'm not here for you to buy the course and to leave you. Plus, every single month, I give you an hour of free group coaching, and you are coming at the right time, because Monday is the next group coaching session. Everybody that comes into that group session, we do a deep dive in their organization, right? You're getting this free, right, as a part of buying the course. So what is the course worth? I've had the course audited 3 times, right? The 12 modules and lessons, they're worth $3,549. The videos are worth $599. Just the funding list alone is worth $500, right? And yes, I give you workbooks, planners, and the grant trackers are so important, because you know you need to track when you are applying for these grants. Now, how much is it, right? The value is $4,997. The course is $997. That's the price of the course, but I reduced it for Women's History Month. It's March. $497, but that is not what you're paying, right? Because you came to me, you spent an hour with me. That means you need help. Okay. So I'm here to give you help. People who know me know I'm a woman of faith. I've been a servant leader my entire career I've been working since I was literally 15 years old. You're getting the entire course for $247. That is one payment. So many people think, okay, I can do this. This is a monthly payment. It's not a monthly payment. It's one and done. It's one payment for $247, but you need the code, right? So the code is MAR23N like Nancy. And yes, it's a crazy price. My coaches always get on me about lowering the price of this course, right? Don't do it. But I know you need help, so I do it anyway. So you need the code MAR23N if you are getting the one price, right? The $247 price. Now, I'm doing something that people know I never do. If you can't pay the $247, guess what? You have the option of making 2 payments, $137.50 each, right, over the course of 2 months. You don't even need a code, because that's built into the program. You don't need a code, right? That's the price right now. Everything will change in 3 days. You have 3 days, right, to literally get everything I said for $247. And guess what? The course never expires. Why? Because I'm a small business owner, right? I get busy. I know you get busy, right? Things happen. We buy these courses and we just know we're going to get to them that evening or the next day. And you know what? Life happens, right? That's why my course never expires, because I know life happens. So you have all of the modules, everything I said. You have a bonus 450 grant providers. This is all you get, right? And yes, this is definitely for the culture, because this is a crazy low price. Again, it's been audited and the course is worth $5,000, but you get everything you see here. Oh, and it's self-paced. You go at your own pace, okay? And that's important, right? So you get the winning grant examples. You get how to write every part of that narrative in detail, right? But you only have until Sunday, because the 50% off ends Sunday. All right. Now, if you buy it and you go to the home page, if you just want the $247 price, you click the $497 purchase and then you put in the discount code. Or If you want to make the 2 payments, you hit that little drop down arrow and it says 2 times $137.50. When you get to the order page, now this is only if you want to input the coupon and just make the one-time payment of $247. It says have a coupon. Yes, you put in the coupon code. You might see this little black down here that says ask the expert. If you want a private session with me, one-on-one, just me and you, do a personal deep dive in your organization, that's $495 an hour. But if you buy it with the course, it's reduced to $195 per hour. And a lot of people buy that want one-on-one time with me to really do a deep dive. And you can ask me anything you want about your organization and really how to get you on the right track. So you have that option. Why is this important for you to do this right now? Whether you buy this course or not, you need to be writing grants right now. Why? Because the grants that are available now, they may not be available in 6 months from now. Okay. One thing I can assure you, organizations like Walmart and Verizon, they tell you apply at the beginning of the year when we have money, because this money may not be available in June or July or August. So please, please, please don't be in the same position a week from now that you're in now. Don't be in the same position a month from now asking yourself, how did this organization get a grant? How did he get a grant? How did she get a grant? People just like you and I, that look just like you and I, are getting grants every single day. But please start now. Please start now. I told you before, the program works. A funder was able to get that $35,000 from using that one element of meeting with the funder. And you get to be in the next coaching session on Monday, right? So these are just a few of the testimonials. Like you can't make this stuff up. Farrah got 5 church grants for her mom. So Pastor Cotton and all the other pastors, if you buy the course, you go into the Facebook group, you need to talk to Farrah. She got 5 church grants for her mom. Reverend Christine, she got $35,000 for her church. Kelly got $75,000 for her colleague, and then wrote grants for herself, right? And Brian just got a $30,000 grant. All of this happened like within the last, I would say, month or so, maybe 4 to 6 weeks. So people are constantly getting money. All right. So we're at the Q&A. I'm going to go to the Q&A session first. So people are asking, so the link is in the chat. So just hit the link. The link to sign up is right in the chat, right? Make sure you use the code so that you can get your 50% discount. And people are asking if it's $247 a month. No, it's one and done. It's one price. You get everything. And like I said, if you don't have the money, they don't have the $247, pay the $137.50. What I want everybody to do who's left with me, please. Sometimes you have to speak things into the universe. I want you to put into the chat right now, everybody that's left, put into the chat, I'm ready to get grant money. I am ready to get grant money. I want to hear you say it into the chat. I am ready to get grant money. Do not be in this same position a month from now trying to figure out where on earth are there grants for my organization, right? I'm here to help you. I'm going to serve as your coach in the group coaching, and I'm often in the Facebook group. So that's what I'm talking about. Derek, Veronica, Stephanie, Pastor Cotton, Rosalind, absolutely. Rosalind, Whitney, Eddie, Deanna, I'm ready to get grant money. It's time. It's like, I'm a football person. Please come off the sidelines. Hattie, Marie, Conrad, Nellie, Deanna. That's what I'm talking about, right? That's what I'm talking about. Yes, there's a webinar session that is live at 7:00 tonight. Okay, so if you know anybody that wants to attend, I'm going to put that link into the chat. 7:00 tonight. It's going to be live, right? And you can have them click this link here, all right, to sign up. So it's time to get money. People, what I'm fearful of is that the money that was created because of the George Floyd incident and COVID-19, you know that money is not going to last forever, right? Please get it while what they say, the getting is good, okay? So Veronica, can you write grants to go back to school if you are a senior? I need for you to clarify that question. Can you write grants to go back to school if are you talking about college? Tell me if you're talking about college. So if you're talking about college, let me give you two answers. Typically, no. However, there are individual grants. You saw on the homepage of Grant Station and also on the homepage of Grant Watch, there are individual grants that are available, but rarely do they go to just students who want to go back to college, right? They're typically research grants. However, what you need to do is go to a nonprofit or for-profit that offers funding to help students go back to college, right? So whereas you may not be able to get the grant for yourself, you can go through agencies. This is where grant research is important, right? So when you're doing your grant research, you can look for organizations, right? The same organizations that are going to populate in your research that would give you money are the same organizations that will also give you the names of nonprofits and for-profits that provide programs to help college students. So this is all about how you do your grant research, and I help you in the group coaching session. And if you ask the question in Facebook, I give you guidance so that you know exactly how you research to find those nonprofits and for-profits that provide funding to help students go back to school. No, Pastor Cotton, no. All right, that's the Q&A. Gloria, yes, I do in-person seminars if an organization wishes me to do in-person seminars. I spoke a few months ago to a very large charter school sponsor educational conference where I taught principals and teachers how to research for grants and write grants for their schools. So if anybody wants to hire me to do an in-person seminar, yes, I do. The link to sign up is in the chat. Yes, Gloria, let me tell you, I hope you join. I hope you get this course because I have so much information on money for churches. Yes. So what I do, if you ask me questions, I will help you to find the money. I'm not going to find the money for you. We have a paid service where we can do customized research. So let's say you hire me to literally create a customized list of grants for you, just for your organization, right? If you don't want to do the research, you can hire my organization to do the research. And that reminds me, I'm going to put 2 emails into the chat. I want you to put these emails into your safe senders list because the replay that I want you to get will come from one of these 2 email addresses. So make sure you put those 2 emails. I just put them into the chat. Make sure you put those 2 emails into your safe senders list, okay? And I've just highlighted those 2 emails, okay? Now I'm going through questions now. I'm going to start at the beginning. So if you're the only staff person, oh my gosh, yes, there are, let me just go back to the chat here. All right, there we are. That way I can see you better. All right. Yes, even if you are the only staff person, yes, you can still get grant funding because there's grants for like all volunteer organizations. I mean, you need help, right? Virginia, you need help. And it could be from volunteers or it could be from staff, but you need help to run your organization. And yes, there are grants for all volunteer organizations. So ChatGPT is a very helpful artificial intelligence tool that can help you write grants faster. I would advise you to be super careful. Do not expect it to write an entire grant application for you without your input, right? Because if you're using AI, if you're using ChatGPT, it can write portion of the grant for you, but it's always best to feed it your own narrative. So that is mixing your voice from your narrative with the artificial intelligence, right? And also, you don't ever really want to just submit something that's all AI, because it's still being picked up as spam, right? On some platforms. So be careful. If you're going to use Chat GPT, feed it your own narrative so that it learns your voice. And so it's providing the information, right? That sounds a little bit more like you. Yes, Stephanie has gotten $30,000 in grants in the past 18 months for her accounting firm business. Yay! Let's give some love to Stephanie. See, people, it's available. I told you, people that look just like you and me, we're getting money every single day. Veronica, it would be Chase if Chase has a good footprint in your area. Make sure they have like a lot of branches in your area. Then I would go to Chase. Chase doesn't always have a lot of branches in areas. It depends on the city and the state. Yes, Eddie. Yes. Tell me if you've signed up, right? So we can give you some love. Yes, yes, yes. So the link is right there. The link is right there. Yes, Pastor Cotton. Yes. Thank you, Rosalind. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That's what I'm talking about. It's time to get this money, people. I just get so hopeful that it remains, right? Because there's so much money available right now. I hope it remains, right? That's why I don't want you to wait. Whether you buy this course or not, do not be in this same position a month from now. Move yourself forward. Invest in yourself. Please invest in yourself. Please, please, please invest in yourself. All right. All right. All right. Let me see if there are any more. Yes, there are grants available for accounting firms. So that's in the area of financial literacy, right? So let me tell you a way that will increase your chances of getting funding. You have an accounting firm. Let's say you provide a financial literacy class, like, I don't know, once a month to the community, right? Once every 2 weeks to the community. That is going to highly expedite your chances of getting grant funding, because you are providing to the community. It's like a give back, right? So are any grants for veteran startups that are for profit? Absolutely. Oh my gosh, absolutely. So a few of my clients are veterans organizations. So I can assure you that there are millions of dollars available for grant organizations. All right. Yes, 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 yes. Do you recommend having a virtual office if you are a solo business? You certainly can. Tell me what you mean by that. Does that mean that you have like a PO box that people can send information to? If it helps to legitimize your organization, sure. You want to avoid having things, if at all possible, unless you have like a dedicated home office. It's fine to have a virtual office. Absolutely. So the virtual office. So for example, Veronica, UPS in some cities, right, check, will give you a PO box address that actually looks like a street address, and it's great to use. So you might want to do that. It's a real PO box and you're getting mail there, right? But it looks like a street address so that people may think that you have a brick and mortar who don't know, right? So instead of just having mail sent to a PO box, you have it sent to this address, right? Which is in actuality a PO box, but it just doesn't look like a PO box. Karen, there are millions of dollars in grants for daycare. And let me just mention this one time, because I did a special presentation to a Facebook group of daycare centers. So there are several Facebook groups. If you send me an email, I will give you this information. There's several Facebook groups that are geared towards helping daycare centers, right? And I happen to know a phenomenal accountant. All she does is help daycare centers. But these Facebook daycare centers. They give you information to help you expand your daycare center. I also know Brandy Woods. Brandy Woods, she has committed her life to helping daycare centers become 6 and 7 figure organizations. I can give you her information too. So I did this special presentation for this particular Facebook group, and part of their package, right, included me providing like a list of almost 100 funders that give to early child education and daycare centers. So absolutely, there's millions of dollars available. Oh, see, Stephanie, it doesn't matter. Like, you can use your home address if you're okay. You don't, as I said before, you don't have to use a virtual office. If you want to, you can, but you don't have to. No. Yeah, so just let me clarify. You can use your home address if you want, and your office can still seem legitimate. The legitimacy is not solely based on an address, okay? Because I know too many people who get grant money and they work out of their home and they use their home address, okay? So the $137.50. So when you go to the page, so click the link, right? When you go to that page, you will see the $497. Let me see if I can quickly go back to that slide. Let's see, unless it may take too long. Oh, previous. I want to try to get to this slide so that you can see what we're talking about. Let me see if it's going to let me. Oh, there it is. When you go to this page and you hit that little arrow that's next to the $497, this drop down box will appear, and just hit the drop down box and it will take you to be able to pay. And you don't need a discount code, so don't try to put in a discount code, right? If you are getting the 2-month deal, you don't even need a discount code. All right, let's see if there are any other questions. Yes, Virginia was not kidding. Virginia said, look, I'm ready to get this grant money. Yes, Virginia, I will see you Monday. All right. And I want you to do a deep dive about your organization and tell me how I can help you, how we can help you. The Facebook group is phenomenal. I give you the opportunity to introduce yourself, and you would be amazed at how many other people in that group, they want to help, right? We're all in this together. And you'll see some incredible testimonials. I'm telling you, these people almost had me in tears this week, telling me how this course has literally changed their businesses and their lives. So that's what I do it for. So I will see you Monday, and I will see you in the Facebook group. You're going to get 3 emails. Everybody that joins, you're going to get 3 emails. One email will give you the opportunity to create your password in your account, right? Your password in your account, so that you can get in. You start immediately. Like, you don't even wait. You start immediately, right? And then another email will give you the link that you hit to get your invite to the Facebook group, because we have to let you in. And then the third email is another welcome email. Okay. So yes, Virginia, she is not waiting. She is not waiting. That's what I'm talking about. Off the sidelines. It's time, right? What? Oh, and then did I tell you that the course is tax deductible? It's tax deductible, right? So you write it off. You literally write off the course because it's an educational resource, and you get a certificate at the end of the course. You get a certificate, right? All right. I think I have answered all of the questions. Let me quickly go back to the Q&A. So, Marie, when you are asking for grants, if it's an operational grant, like, you decide who you choose who is going to be on your team. Okay. So when you get a grant for operations, you decide who's going to be on your team. It's rare to get a grant to hire a grant writer if you're looking for the terms of grant writer. But when you hire to shore up your operations, a grant writer can be one of the people that you use to, out of your budget, to spend money on, right? Because you are creating a team, right? What you can't do, and this is something I want to share with the last people that are on. If you are going to work with a grant writer, you need to know that there's a difference between a grant writer, a professional grant writer, and somebody who writes grants. Like, I'm a member of the Grants Professional Association. I'm a professional grant writer. People for whom I work with and my colleagues, we do not take any work on commission. It is unethical, and in some states it is illegal. So no, we don't take work on commission because you may not get the grant. Grants are not guaranteed, and we have a skill that is paid for. We always get our money up front. Always, 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 whether or not you get the grant. That is how we work because we are hired for the work that we provide, right? So if you have people saying that, oh, I'll give you, if you have grant writers saying, oh, I'll take a commission, what if you don't get the grant? They're never paid for their work, right? And so we abide by those ethical codes. Also, you cannot pay a grant writer out of grant money because when you get grant money, you cannot pay for expenses that you incur before you get the grant, right? And that's what you're doing. So in a lot of these organizations, they literally have questions on the grant application to make sure, right, that you are not going to spend a dime of their grant funding, right, to pay for the grant writer who wrote the grant, right? So please be careful about that. Are there grants for private schools? That's difficult, right? So there are typically, if you're opening up a private school, you need investors, right? Because most of the grants for education are filtered through either the U.S. Department of Education or private organizations like Walmart. Walmart has been a huge provider of grant funding for charter schools, right? There are some organizations that do fund private schools, but it's rare. You would have a much better chance of seeking funding for public schools, for charter schools. And in addition to the U.S. Department of Education, there are, like I said, many private organizations. The Gates Foundation, they give so much money in the area of education, higher education, but when it comes to your K through 12 is usually a charter school, right? So for a private school, you're going to need some type of investors for that. Would this benefit a travel agency that focuses on mothers needing a break for mental health? So yes, you can make sure you do your research. And what's really good about your area is that you can search in multiple different categories, right? So you have travel. So you can research for any organizations that give money to travel agencies. And you can also search, and this is going to probably be a better search for you. You can search for grants that are provided to organizations that address mental health. That is a $1 billion grant industry, okay? We know that mental health issues are right on the forefront of everybody's mind right now. So right now there's billions of dollars available for organizations that provide mental health services. All right. Okay. So I think we are done. That's the Q&A. That is the chat. All right. So I hope to see you on Monday in the course, right? In the group session, the group coaching session where I can really do a deep dive and help you out. And also I hope to see you in the Facebook group, people. It has been a blessing for me to serve you. Thank you so much. Whatever you do, as I mentioned before, don't be in the same space a month from now, please. Move your organization forward. Again, I'm Linda Peavy. I am the founder of LaPav Consulting and the course Grant Writing for Non-Writers, Keys for Winning Grant Proposals. And it has been my pleasure. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I hope to see you soon. Hope you have a blessed rest of your day and week and year. All right. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.